welcome along to the Invincible podcast. Lee Judges and, of course, Julian and joining me today. And we're here to talk about the big game coming up on Sunday. I think for Arsenal, probably for Liverpool as well, biggest game of the season so far. There's so much on this game. Arsenal versus Liverpool, massive game. But before we get to that, Tuesday night, seems like ages ago now because there's been games going on all week because last weekend was the FA Cup weekend. So Premier League games played right throughout the week. And a really important win for Arsenal away at Nottingham Forest, a place where the last 3 times we visited there, we have suffered L's in every one of those games, right? It was great to get that win and set up a huge battle against Liverpool that if we play Liverpool on Sunday and we beat them, we're within 2 points of the top. Lee, how massive was that result on Tuesday night?
Massive. It was all about winning the game. I actually can't believe there was a lot of criticism for the team afterwards and all that. Like, you know, a lot of people saying we didn't play well. I didn't think we was great in the first half, if I'll be honest. But it weren't about that for me on Tuesday night. I didn't care how we played. It was just about getting the result. I know that further down the line, and I get what people are saying, oh, if you carry on playing like we're playing, we ain't going to do well. But I didn't see it.
I don't get it. Like, I heard that as well. Like,
I didn't see it.
People saying, oh, the performance is... Listen, the first half was very slow, I thought, from Arsenal. We needed to speed it up a bit. But in the second half, we did. And we got our just rewards because basically the first half, there's only one team trying to play. Nottingham Forest were on this deep block, which was very, very difficult to break down. And you know, one of the things I've started to learn about when teams deploy this really low block, and you see it a lot from Arsenal, you see it a lot from City, Liverpool as well, is that the tactic is to keep lots of possession. Because basically, if you're playing against a team that are in a deep block, what they want you to do is give the ball away so that they can very quickly counter-attack against you. So the trick is to keep the ball as much as possible, to work the openings and then get the chance. Just that we did it way too slowly. It wasn't quick enough in the first half. Well,
the end of the day, like, I was looking at everybody was going out, well, Liverpool played against Bournemouth the other week as they won 4-0. But the first half was very, very similar to what we played in the first half, and then like they blew them away second half. That is the problem that we've got. We upped it in the second half, got to 2-0, and we didn't blow them away like Liverpool did. But for me, I also have to say that, yeah, we'll give away a sloppy goal, but after that, I thought we defended really well, like, you know. Yeah. So, all in all, it was all about the result. And
I thought it was a good away performance.
Yeah, and I just feel like, you know, yes, we know we've got to play better. We know that certain players have got to play better. But for me, you know, address that at a later date. It was so important that we won that game. And I wasn't 100% confident that we was going to win that game because I thought we were going to lose. You're right. I did think, you know what I mean? Yeah, I did think that at one stage here, I was talking to my mate, funny enough, he texted me, he said, it's got 1-0 written all over this. You know what I mean? So from our point of view, it was always going to be a difficult. Well, the one thing I will say is, you know, if we didn't play that well, I wasn't worrying about losing the game until the last couple of minutes, you know what I mean, when they equalised. Other than that, we're sitting there, you know, it was a struggle.
Comfortable.
Comfortable.
It was actually comfortable up until that, like, was it 87th minute equaliser? Goal back in 87th.
89th. But it was comfortable in the first half. It was comfortable throughout the whole game. But that first half, I wouldn't necessarily criticise Arsenal. I would criticise the way that Forest set up. I've not seen a team for a long time play that negative in the first half. When you talked about that they were set up to then break, they didn't even break. They had Chris Wood up front. He's hardly a speed merchant. That they didn't even set up to try and nick a goal. They set up for a 0-0 in that first half. And Arsenal kind of played into it. They played slow, but they also sort of pushed forward so much. And what happened was that they just came back and back and back, Forest, to the extent that it was an absolute stalemate. I think the stats for that first half hadn't been beaten in as much as in the final third, Arsenal had 261 passes and Forest only had 8.
crazy.
It was absolutely.
And they're at home.
It was
They're at home,
absolutely.
yeah.
It was absolutely crazy. And it kind of brings you back to. I mean, Nuno came out and was almost bragging that we blocked the game. That was in his press conference. We blocked the game effectively, and it kind of always brings me back to that quote of Alan Durbin's in 1980. I think it was a Stoke manager at the time, and he came to Highbury and they got a 0-0 draw. And he says, if you want entertainment, go watch a bunch of clowns. And what he's saying is, well, we're not here to entertain you. We're here just to win. And that's it. And when you see games like that, you wonder, is football different from other forms of entertainment in as much as you want to see a good game, but also your overriding consideration as a fan, you don't want to lose. And sometimes you get these games where you just don't have any entertainment.
Remember the position that Nottingham Forest are in. Nobody can blame them for trying to play the way they play. Listen, if they kept that up right for 90 minutes and they got a 0-0, that's a great result for them.
Yeah, it is.
Right, especially with what's hanging over them.
Yeah, and this is what you're going to come up against from now till the end of the season. You've got teams that, they'll take a 0-0 against, they calculate it. They look on it and they say to themselves, right, we've got Arsenal coming to town, City, Liverpool, right? Best case scenario, a draw, right? So all we're going to do is going to sit deep, frustrate, because they need the win because they're chasing titles. That we'll frustrate the life out of them, and hopefully they make an error, right, which we can pounce upon, and we nick a goal or whatever, and that's how they operate off of that, right? So you're going to come up against a lot, and you can't blame them, and that as well. I think we have to acknowledge that in football, that's a tactic. Yep. It's a tactic. The teams that just go out there and just say, right, everybody behind the ball, they'll be working on that for weeks.
And
they're so well drilled. You know what I mean? You
changed
see
it at half time.
Yeah, that was the one thing about it. He'd be a little bit annoyed about it because he went a little bit more pragmatic in the second half.
A little bit more adventurous in the second half. But to be honest, it was similar tactics. It's just that now, because they get it 1 year up front, you can kind of hold it up better, and he's a bit quicker. They was able to try and push up now to try and
create a little bit more space for us.
And then Arteta did something that was quite interesting. It almost became a game of chess, is that he'd pushed up his centre-backs throughout that first half, and there was very little space. And what he did, he was almost drawing them in because he pulled them back, almost coaxed them to come out a little bit, and the game opened up slightly. And then but we still scored from an opportunism moment. And we capitalised on a mistake. They didn't set themselves up properly for that throw.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yep, and listen, and that's what we're going to come up against. That's what West Ham did. West Ham basically they did the same thing to us, but they punished us for our errors, right? So and then we couldn't break them down. So these teams are very, very well drilled, and I don't think we can look on it and say, oh, it's not entertaining or whatever. It ain't really to watch.
It's not traditionally entertaining.
Did in the first half, but they don't care about entertainment. They want to stay in the Premier League, right? And it's our job for us who are chasing something much bigger to go out there and break teams down. And what I liked about it is that we did break them down. And football as well involves patience. And this is why I'm a bit miffed when some people keep saying, oh, we didn't play well. It was almost like it was a poor performance. It wasn't. First half, really, really difficult to break down. But you know what? The team said, right, patience. And we see this a lot with Man City. Where they still keep doing what they're doing. They might make tweaks to it, make it a bit quicker, but they keep doing because they know eventually their chances will come. And then when your chances come now, are you going to be clinical enough to take them? That's what's let Arsenal down sometimes this season, is that when the chances have come, we haven't been clinical. But we were on Tuesday because, that Saka chance, not an easy chance. So he hit on his right foot.
It was
clinical.
It was good. And
clinical breakaway. Clinical, the first goal, all right, it's a little bit of a goalkeeper error, but we've taken a shot. We've had a goal.
It was actually an own goal, in my view.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But goal.
You've got to take it as a compliment. What it is like that there was a few years when teams thought, do you know what, we can have a go at Arsenal and they beat us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we was having some entertaining games, 3-4s and all that. A little bit like what Spurs are doing at the minute. Spurs, I watched the other day, little bits of it. Brentford had a go at it. They had a go. You know what I mean? They when they play the likes of Man City and Liverpool and Arsenal, they're not having a go because they know that they can't do it. That is the thing at the moment, and we've just got to adapt to it. The better you get, the more of these games you're going to get. I remember in Arsene Wenger's time when we was really going, well, we've got to score in the first 10 minutes, otherwise it's going to be a real battle. And there was times when,
And
as
they often
entertaining
did.
as entertaining as we were, we had to be very, very patient to the 70th minute and all that. We're back into that territory again where teams are giving us a lot of respect now. And when you think about it, a team like Nottingham Forest, you know what I mean? They're at home, they've got magnificent energy and fans and all that, like, you know, they're not prepared to come out and battle and fight against
Sucked
us.
the life out of the crowd as well.
Yeah,
I
it
thought.
did. And
Let's remember when they beat us last year, they did exactly the same tactic.
Same sort of thing.
And they had one
And in the FA
breakaway
Cup.
chance, scored, and then shut down the game for the rest of it. We couldn't break them down. Same in the FA Cup. So it's worked for them in the past, right? So
Well, and-
it's our job.
It's our job.
It's
When
our
you
job
see
to-
West. That's why that West Ham game was painful, because West Ham set up and done that. So other coaches are going to go, do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to let's have a look at that West Ham game. Let's see how they done it. That's how we're going to do it now, whether it's home or away. You know, there was years ago when he was under Arsene Wenger, you'd prefer to go into the away games because it was a little bit more open and whatever. But now you're getting teams at home prepared to sit in and not attack.
But that's not entertaining for the home crowd. If I had to watch that every week, then I probably wouldn't go. But then,
What if you won the league? You would.
but they're not going to win the league like that. They're
I'm
ju-
not saying they would. Remember, like Mourinho used to win leagues like that. Right? You know what I mean?
He done that. with better players,
Mourinho
though,
would win
didn't he?
leagues by
Yeah.
just stifling
I mean-
the life out of a team.
I mean, I have to say,
scoring the odd goal, right, and just sitting, score the odd goal, sit on that for the whole game, and win the league.
But
right?
it was extreme.
No Chelsea fans
It was
complaining.
extreme what we saw in that first half at Forest. I've not seen a Premiership team. It was like going for an FA Cup game with a real lower league team that knows they're going to lose,
Starting to be
but just wants to cling
putting
on
the-
for as long as
Putting
possible.
the snobbish thing on.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
it?
he said, well,
I
he
wouldn't
did
go,
that.
you know what I mean?
I wouldn't go.
No, but
it didn't seem to
but if
affect
I
the
had seen-
attendance of Forest. It was sold out, right? And they know
They're
where
only
they
going to
are
do that
right now.
against certain teams.
Yeah, they ain't going to do that against every team, and they know where they are at the moment, and they know who they're playing. You can't just go gunno against a good Arsenal side with players like Saka and Odegaard and these guys. You get destroyed.
And I understand that. I just thought it was a little bit too extreme what I saw in that first half.
I see what Julian's saying, but in the second half they were a little bit more, and they lose.
Yeah.
So they're going to say to themselves, we can't be that open at times against teams like that. And I have to say this, you know what I mean? When they just slightly opened a little bit, and I agree with what Julian's saying, Arsenal just changed it slightly. But the
That's
fact,
credit to Arteta for doing that.
but the fact of the matter is, you know what I mean? If we didn't do that, it would have been. It's a hard. You know, you've got Arsenal play. There's not a lot of difference between the two. So, you know what I mean? How can I say it? It was, even though we was on top and all that, they would have looked at that and thought, you know, really, Turner didn't really have that much to save and everything like that. That's the way to play Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah.
It is the way to
Yeah.
play Arsenal. If you're going to go toe to toe with them, it'd be very interesting what happens on Sunday.
be a
Liverpool will
completely
go
different
with a
game.
completely different game.
I mean,
It's-
there was-
I
yeah.
think it'd be an entertaining game.
Yeah, people were saying to me, if we play like that against Liverpool, I said, look, you can't even compare the
totally
two.
different.
It's chalk and cheese,
You
right?
won't have
Because
to play like that.
Liverpool won't play like our Forest played. We know Liverpool are coming at you. You know what Liverpool is going to do. They're coming at you. It'd be a completely different game to West Ham. It'd be a completely different game to Forest. This is why, managers deploy different tactics. We're going to get to that game. Because now that win, what it's done is set it right up. A huge game. If we'd have lost that game, we all said it on the way up there. If we lost that game, we're just in a top four battle. But now we're still in the title race, and if we can beat Liverpool, that's going to be huge. But before I get to that, I've got to speak. You wouldn't have known it. The transfer window closed on Thursday.
Did it?
Yeah,
Didn't even
at
know.
11
It
p.m.
opened, did it? Like that,
Right,
right?
I mean, no business done by Arsenal. No business. As a matter of fact, I was looking at. Let me see if I can.
think we got rid of a certain goalkeeper.
If I can, yeah, but no business really. When I say business, really,
couple of
done.
youngsters went out and
A
all
load of
that.
youngsters went out. Runnison. Like
by,
you said,
by the way,
and
you're
so-
right. You know what I mean, and he owes you an apology. Like, you know what I mean, because they've said today, and it's on out there that Arsenal, if they wanted to, could have spent big money.
I told him that.
But no, we're not according.
But
to
no,
Julian,
not
like.
according to Julian. and
Interesting
none of
how
his
how
experts.
they could do that.
Well, that's
Right,
what they said, but
right.
they chose
but
not to do it. Is what was.
But
was the quote
I'd be
today.
interested. People can come out with those statements, but what I want to do, I want to understand how.
That was a financial expert, by the way. So
Well, okay. If he's a financial expert, I'd like him to explain to me how that they could have bought. Because when I looked at
give
the
a call,
figures, we'd lost 199 million over the last 3 years. So how could we do that?
Well, that's
It's all
what he
very
said today.
All right, so
and
he comes out with
an
a
expert.
He's all okay. You can call yourself an expert. Just explain how, in simple
No, I think
layman's
he did.
terms.
He did, yeah. He did
Okay,
say.
so what did he say? How did he justify
they
it?
could have spent more if they wanted
Yeah,
to.
but how?
On a big strike. He said big money
it's
on a
going
strike.
read
Yeah,
it.
but how?
Well, you're going to have to go and read it and
Okay,
find
I'll
out.
read
You know,
it.
maybe
But
read the
I
article.
think the reason that they didn't is because they couldn't get who they wanted. That's
Exactly.
what
That's
that's
what I
another-
was saying.
another-
I was saying that right from the beginning. I was going, if they really want to,
they could have
Right.
done it.
I feel they could have went and done it. It's just, number one, it would affect their spending in the summer, right? But the biggest reason was who they're interested in, who I feel was Ivan Toney this month. There's no chance of getting him. He was always going to go back
Yeah.
and play for. I mean, if he would have turned around and said to Brentford, "I want to leave," I'd have thought, bro, I don't even know if I want this guy. 'Cause
Yeah.
that'd be a
That's
shocking
disloyal, isn't
betrayal. I mean, these guys, they've stuck behind you and everything like that. He'll go at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And at the moment, honestly, I'm starting to look on it. I was saying Osimhen before over Tony, but as I look at it, every time I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to think.
He's
I'm thinking more
brilliant
Tony
last
because
night,
I'm like, this guy's been out for 8 months and he's just come back in like he ain't even been away. He scored 2 goals in his last 2 games. I'm like, he'd be brilliant at Arsenal, and I love his mentality. So, but I think Arsenal will go after him in the summer because he's definitely going to leave in the summer.
It's a real interesting thing now is that I think Arsenal left themselves a little bit short in the summer. If you're not going to get anything in January, right, you must get that summer one right. And I think over the last couple of years, Arsenal have not got it quite right. And I think it's cost us last season.
I thought they did last January. I thought
We'll be short.
I thought the signings
Well,
last January were good.
we didn't have enough to win the league last season. We left ourselves a little bit short. Brought in squad players, but didn't do enough. This time around, not only us, none of the big boys have done enough.
I was going to say, so I saw this on BBC's website where they said spending by Premier League clubs in January dipped significantly after 3 successive record-breaking windows, with teams splashing out £715 million less
Yeah, it was
than in the 2023 winter window. Now we know a lot of that was down to Chelsea,
yeah.
but £715 million less. The combined outlay of the top 20 top flight clubs in the Premier League was 100 million. The lowest January spend in a non-COVID season since 60 million in 2011-2012. Vastly lower than last year's spend of 815 million, and that's according to Deloitte. Just 30 million pounds in disclosed fees were spent on deadline day. Another considerable drop from the 275 million spent on the same day 12 months ago. There were only 17 permanent transfers made by Premier League clubs during the window, with a further 13 loan deals, including 7 permanent and 6 loan deals on deadline day, right? So that just goes to show you that the spending's been low. And Arsenal have spent 0. They've bought nobody in. There's been no loan signings. There's been even the players that went out, you know what I mean? Like, you know, no
they were
disrespect
youth
to your Lino Sousas and people like that, but they're you know, they're the academy players. You know, even Cedric, I thought he might have gone out to Galatasaray. Am I right in saying that the
There's another week, yeah.
Turkish
He's got
window's
another
still got a week
week.
to go,
Yeah.
so he could still go? But it's just been it's unbelievable because, like, normally
if they let him go now.
So then it,
yeah.
so then it
Have they made a mistake not getting anybody in January, Arsenal?
Time will tell.
I'd say no, because of the fact that who they wanted wasn't available. So what's the point of bringing in someone that you don't want?
Maybe a fullback
or a second. I think with Tomiyasu coming back, then you've got the cover. I mean, Tomiyasu's away now, I think a maximum another 2 weeks. So once he comes back, barring, you can never totally predict because it depends on the injury situations. When we talk about that we didn't have enough to win the league last season, that was because of one game when Tomiyasu and Saliba got injured within a few minutes of each other. Now, it's very difficult to predict those kind of injuries, because had that not happened, so I think they would have had enough. And that was after January. So you can't pre-predict these things.
A calculation, I think, has been made on, listen, striker, we weren't going to get a striker. And I agree, listen, if you're not going to get somebody better than what you already have, I think you should wait. It's all very well, we be there saying, get this one, get that. They've got to be available, they've got to be gettable, right? If we're not going to get anybody better than Jesus, why are we getting them? Why are we wasting money? That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I did look at the back though and think, could we do some defensive cover at the back? What if there's an injury again to Saliba? What if there's an injury again to Gabriel? But I guess if Gabriel or Saliba, you've got, Kivior, who was linked with moves away, but they've obviously kept right. You can also shift Ben White in as a centre back. We know he's played in that position. You can even put Declan Rice in as a centre back, because he's played as a centre back in his career before
Thomas
as well.
Partey, don't know who he is.
Thomas Partey's now coming back, so I guess he's looking at him like midfield. That's an addition to the midfield. Also right back, even though I don't like him at right back, but we've seen him play him at right back. Like you said, Tomiyasu's coming. He's back now. He's playing for Japan. He played the other night. They won 3-1. They're through to the next round. So he'll be coming back. Timber, probably March time. He could make a comeback.
I wouldn't be so sure about Timber. When you look at how long it takes to get back from those injuries, I think the average is something like 280 days. And he's only at about 175.
Yeah, but there are players that come back quicker, and they do say that he's been recovering quicker from it than, so. But he could be back.
But if you look at an average of 280 days, he's only at 175. You are, even if he's that much quicker with that injury, you're still looking a couple of months.
So, finance expert and a physio.
Well, when he comes back next week, we're going to be apologising again.
I hope I'm wrong.
Define the word expert in saying
I hope I'm wrong, but I have had that injury, and it did
It's a little bit different for you suffering it.
Well, it ended
with all due respect, you're carrying a little bit of weight, more extra weight than he's playing. You haven't got the physios to look after you on a day-to-day basis. What, monitoring you on a day-to-day basis?
Not a day-to-day, but I was going. I had the operation.
He's going to have that. He's going to have personal trainers with him on a day-to-day basis, have him following a certain program to get him back to fit. Did you have that?
No, that's why it ended my career.
What career?
Maccabi League Division 3 runners-up. 2002, 2003.
2000 and what?
2002, 2003. Maccabi League Division 3 runners-up.
Runners-up in what?
Runners-up in Maccabi League Division 3.
So what position? Yeah. Wait, let me explore this more. So what position did you play?
Always used to play centre midfield.
So what if I was to, if we were comparing you to a player in the Arsenal team, what would you be more, Declan Rice or Odegaard? Were you?
No, well, looking back, probably more Petit.
What are you playing, Sabutio?
I was a very tough player, and I had a good eye for a pass. I wasn't always the fastest, but I was good at taking penalties as well. I never missed one.
And an ACL ended your career?
Yeah. It was a very bad pitch.
Aged?
About 33, 34.
If it ended your career, what would you do before that then? You must have been,
Well, I had a few injuries over the years.
Right,
for how many years did you play?
I played from like the age of 5 years old.
Can we start calling him Emmanuel from now on?
But also I played a bit like Cazorla. That's the other player I kind of like myself too. Yeah.
Well, I'd have gone with that because of the size and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Petit was a beast.
I want about skills though.
No, skillful. I was skillful. Just wasn't that mobile.
I've seen him play.
Yeah, but I kicked a ball for 15 years.
I don't know if I believe him, man. I don't know if I believe it. Yeah, but you don't lose it completely.
You do. You do.
Completely.
Well, he has.
No, but if I practice,
you got any evidence of this stuff?
Yeah, I'll bring the medals in.
Yeah.
Bring the medals in the next show.
Yeah,
I'll bring the medals.
Want to see them medals?
All right,
yeah?
I'll bring the medals in.
And you played.
Yeah, of
when
course. I'll bring some newspaper clippings as well.
Yeah, we'll have that. So in this final, you wasn't sub on. I think you was.
I was sub unused.
Emmanuel Petit was a sub unused in Division 3.
I was coming back.
Hold on.
I was coming back from an injury.
What, another one?
Yeah, a knee injury, which was prelude to the ACL injury.
Oh, right.
But the point I'm making
Sound a bit more like Kim Kallstrom more than Emmanuel Petit.
his timber is a few months away. I can't rely on
No
him.
wonder he's an expert. He's always injured.
I'd have been a lot better player if I'd avoided injuries.
I want you to bring it.
I'll bring the medals in.
Unused. So what was the
sub.
score? What was the score in the game? You lost it, obviously, because it was a runners-up medal this one.
Yeah,
So what was the score?
lost 2-0. But I was never going to play. I mean, I was the manager, so I put myself on the bench just so I could get the medal.
Playing manager.
Playing manager.
Well,
Well, I was assistant to Rob.
But he's assistant.
Yeah, but then he was one of my tenants. So
One of your
tenants. Right,
I'd get him influence over the team selection.
If I don't get picked in the team, mate, you're out of your house.
If I don't get used to those, you'd be on the streets.
Well, he's in the garage now.
Oh my God, man! Your stories,
dear,
man. Your stories.
I mean, I'll take it after this game. You both got sacked, you know.
But anyway, no incomings for Arsenal and listen, generally throughout the all the Premier League.
Are you
teams.
disappointed by that? If you've been really hard, I don't give a
I have to say I understand it. So like I think I would have loved to have seen somebody come in, but as I said, if it's not going to be better than what we've got, and we've got quite a big squad at the moment, you know what I mean, and we've got players, to come back, and we're only in 2 competitions now, which is basically the league and the Champions League. So I get it. I would have loved to have seen like a real top class striker come in. But if you can't get it right now, you can't get it right now. We just got to go. But I do look on it and think to ourselves, was it an error spending all that money on Raya? Even though we've only spent 3 million, but there's a 27 million outlay that we've got to pay for the rest of it at the end of the season. And Havertz, those two together, £100 million. Should we have kept back that and went big again in January? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I
think the answer is possibly.
But I look at what we've got, and I'm like, we've got to go. And I look at what was, obviously I do the transfer daily throughout the month, and I saw all the rumours. I saw lots of the players we were linked with. And after the ones that are the really top ones that I would like, I wouldn't mind that. They're not available. You can't get Martin Zubimendi in January. He's not leaving his club. And that's why the January transfer window is, right? You've got to go and pay miles over the odds for a player that you get way less in the summer. So because of this whole, financial fair play stuff, now teams are having to act more sensibly. I think that's why when you look at that deduction that Everton got, that sent a warning to every club.
Yeah, and the one that Forest is going to get.
They're really worried about it.
So I'm glad to see that clubs now having to operate within their means in a sensible way. And even when they say within their means, remember they're allowed to lose £105 million, right? So, I'm. It was a more sensible transfer window for football clubs.
I'll be really honest. I'm not too worried about it. But if they don't eat it big in the summer, then I'm going to be.
Yeah, they've got to go big again. We've got to go big on the striker.
I expect Arsenal to blow a lot of teams out the window, out the water, come the summer, and I mean some big signings. I'm not just meaning one.
And they'll have the funds now because
they've got
the Champions League income.
And imagine if we win the Champions League, the kind of money that would be involved there, or even if we get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, it's a massive financial boost.
So and I'll be very, and I don't want this like, we're a little bit short here and a little bit short there. They've not attacked this window, which I get. So that means in the summer they've got to get it right, and I expect 4 top players coming into.
And I think as well in the summer there'll be a couple of players leaving. Arsenal. So that's it. It's shut now. So that's it. We got what we got, and we go into this big game at the weekend against Liverpool. Absolutely massive game. If we lose the game, we'll be 8 points behind Liverpool. Probably again, tighter hopes, kind of gone. If we win the game, the title hopes are certainly not gone. They are fully on. Not only would you have taken a mega scalp of Liverpool, by the way, I've only lost 1 game this season, which was a bit of a robbery against Spurs.
A VAR robbery.
but also, you know, the momentum that might give us. Mirrors last year when we had Liverpool in West Ham, right? You know what I mean? So this game is huge. If we can win this, and on the main seen people kind of not giving us much of a chance, because obviously Liverpool are on great form at the moment. They absolutely destroyed Chelsea during the week. But just go back to a couple of weeks ago when we played them in the FA Cup. I thought we played really, really well. The only thing is, we didn't take our chances. If we played that same game again and we take our chances, we can beat Liverpool. But we're going to have to be on it because they are playing really well at the moment, especially with all this clock news and everything.
They are playing well at the moment, but even that game against Chelsea, like, you know, and Chelsea should have had a penalty in that game there. It was a stonewall penalty.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah. They should have had two penalties.
Two penalties.
But even then,
but
they still would have lost.
They're probably battered.
Yeah, they might do, but it can change. Games change.
Could change the game because the first penalty shout was on 0-0.
0-0, yeah.
But I still think Liverpool would have steamrolled them. They are playing like that at the moment.
I'm going to say it now, right? Yes, they got robbed against Tottenham, and I get that. But they've more than made that up with some of their penalty decisions this season. Like I've seen 3 or 4. Like the Jota
Crystal Palace as well, with the sending off.
Yeah. So forget about that now. They've that's evened itself up, and maybe even over. Like, you know. So I look at it like, and they played very, very well at that. Do you remember we was playing Bournemouth? That day, and it was the 5:30 kickoff. We was watching. They played very, very well, Liverpool, that day, and didn't probably deserve to lose the game anyway. So they're a very, very good side. We know that, like, you know. But I do think that Arsenal at home, I think, you know, I do think Arsenal win this game. I'm
There's a lot of people are thinking we are.
I'm quite quietly confident that because we're at home, and I think that we owe them. I don't think there was much between the two teams in the game at Anfield, neither. I thought it was a very, very good game. Could have gone either way. I think Arsenal will win this game, like, because I think that we're at home, and I think that that is the key for me.
They are on a real high at the moment, though. Like, even during the week, like Connor Bradley, who's come in for...
he's been fantastic.
He looked excellent,
you know, he had a brilliant game as
he's been fantastic.
You know, they got a dilemma whether to pick him or Trent Alexander-Arnold on the weekend,
it's
right?
It's not an area they had a weakness in. That was the thing, that they've got this kid that looks unbelievable, but he's competing in a position that wasn't a weakness for them in the first place. So even if he is slightly better, it doesn't improve them that much.
Well, the other way now that I think they could go, Julian, is like, you know, is put Trent as a midfield player.
Yeah.
Probably better suited there, isn't he?
Yeah, and trying to shoehorn him in there. I think that right back, you can say, right, he's got that. We put Trent into midfield, but that's a little bit of an experiment.
And then who do you take out?
Well, that's the thing that they've got on it, like, you know what I mean? But, Gomez is playing really, really well at left back at the moment, and Robertson's not getting in. So, listen, you know, they've got
Gomez
some
played very well.
Good,
Gomez played very well in the games that we played against them as well.
Well, I thought he was brilliant in the game against. Was it the one that he come on? I think he come on as a substitute in the game against Saka, didn't he? Because remember, the left back broke his collarbone, didn't he? And he come on, and I thought, right, Saka's going to get it. I thought he played very, very well against him there, and in the FA Cup game as well.
Tsimikas, wasn't it?
He got injured. Yeah. And so yeah, it's like since he's
been very good.
Since he's been in that position, I honestly think that he'll play on Sunday.
Yeah,
as
I think he's better than Tsimikas, and I think he's been so solid. I think he'll play as well. I don't think it'll be Robertson. I think it'll be him who'll play. We got to get at him. How do we win that game? How do we beat Liverpool?
Front four. Odegaard's got to be on his game. You know, I say on his game. I think he's
not been off his game.
He's not been off his game. No, it's just the little decision making of him this season has not been quite. Last season he was shooting and scoring some wonderful goals. I remember the goal against Tottenham. This time around he's sort of thinking about it and all
hesitating
that.
a bit too long.
Hesitating a little bit too long. Just be a little bit more positive in those areas. I don't know why he's not been as positive, but I think that if Jesus clicks, Saka clicks, Martinelli and him, I think that particularly at the Emirates.
Yeah. Jesus didn't play in that last game when we played them, did he? At Christmas. He wasn't in that game. Sorry, in the FA Cup. He didn't play in that game, did he?
No, I think
Eddie played.
Yeah. No, Havertz played up top, didn't he?
Havertz played up top. Okay. Yeah, it was Havertz who played up top. Jesus didn't play. Jesus looks to me like
You're right, because
he was on. No, he's Havertz who
suspended
played
against Fulham, wasn't he? And Eddie played that one.
He looked really sharp the other night, Jesus. He's going to be a very important player in that game.
I think he's. Listen, I'll say it now. And if Arsenal are to win the league this season, he's the key. I don't think we win that game on Tuesday night if he doesn't play. Yes, he misses it, and that's another thing about watching a game of football. I swear to you, he hit the bar. When I was watching that game, I
because
thought
of the angle we were watching.
Yeah, I thought he's hit the bar. Actually, when you see it, he hits the post. You know what I mean? It's completely. Sometimes you just don't see these things. But I thought he was very, very good. I like the way you can say about the substitutions. He took him off, so that was
Trossard looked good.
Trossard was outstanding when he came on. That'd be an interesting one. Who does he play, Trossard or Martinelli?
What would you do?
I would go with Martinelli on the fact is that I think that they'll push up and that will leave space behind. And I think that
does well normally against Liverpool,
and
he
does well because of that.
Klopp loves him, doesn't he? He's a player of the generation.
Yeah, and I think because of that, the way that Liverpool play, I would go down that route. But listen, Trossard was magnificent when he came on. But for me, if Jesus stays fit and carries on the way he does, I just think also he brings in players. He scores the goal, all right, own goal, but you know what I'm saying, he then creates the goal for Saka. I do think he is key.
Yeah. The thing is, right, you say the front four, defending is going to be of the utmost importance in that game because their front four, that's what Liverpool have just been blitzing teams with this year. Their front four, their attack, even without Salah, there's even been rumours that he could be in for that. But even if he's not there, Jota has been brilliant in his finishing.
If he plays Sunday, he won't be welcome back in Egypt.
You got of course Darwin Núñez, who the other night hit the post about 4 times. But I think he's a very good player.
Yeah, he's dangerous.
We're up against a really attacking side, and then they've got other players that can bring off the bench that are equally as attacking. How do we stop that? I mean, particularly out on those flanks, and I'm thinking Zinchenko, who's been done a couple of times by Liverpool, the game at Anfield, the game the season before. We're going to have to defend very well because they ain't going to be Nottingham Forest. They won't be sitting back. They're going to be coming.
But then that should open up space for us. So again, it does come down to the attack. The reason we lost the game in the FA Cup was the efficiency in front of goal. We created the chances. We were actually defensively sound until there was the one goal, and then of course the second goal was a breakaway. I don't think.
No, but it was defensive errors.
Yeah, it was one defensive error.
Yeah, but that's all you need. You play when. Listen,
if you scored the goals,
hold on, let me stop
if you scored those goals, you wouldn't have had to rely.
Let me stop
you to make one error.
Let me stop you there, right? When you're playing against teams like Liverpool, City,
take chances. Yeah. You've got to take chances.
They only need one. It only takes one error. You can make one error against Forest, and even they took that. We made one error in that game, Forest.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're back in the game, and it could have, made a nervy little last 8 minutes or whatever it was. We can't look on it and just say one error. You've got to be flawless in your defending when you're playing a team like Liverpool.
It would be great to be flawless, but in the real world, in 90 minutes, 100 minutes of football against a team of that kind of level, I don't think I've ever seen a defence or defensive performance that has been flawless. It doesn't happen. You do get the odd mistake, and in order to compensate for the odd mistake, you have to score goals. And against Forest, we made a mistake. In fact, we made 2 mistakes with their goal, but because we'd scored 2 goals already, they weren't able to capitalise on that mistake. So you have to score goals. I don't think you can completely rely on not making any defensive errors, not conceding shots. It's going to happen against a team like Liverpool.
We give up chances. They will get chances.
They will get chances.
And that's where Raya comes into it. Like Raya's going to have to somewhere along the line make a wonder save.
Yeah,
there's going to be somewhere in that game that he's got. There's going to be a point in that game, I think, that we might be winning it. They're going to bring it on, and they have that one shot, and you think, wow, like Alisson's done it a few times. Yeah. Wow, great save.
Like the Ramsdale saves.
And things like that. Raya's got to do that. I think at the end of the day, I'm very, very impressed with Raya against Forest. I've got to say that. I thought he was really, really good. But the one thing I haven't seen him yet is win us a game with a save.
We don't concede that many shots.
We don't, but I think we will get a few. They will get a few on us if we can ride that little storm. I think then we've got the chance.
Who for you, Julian? You've already said Jesus. Who's the key player for you?
I think Martinelli, because I think he'll play, and against Liverpool, he's exploited that space, and you will get that space against Liverpool. And if he can sort of get on it, as we've seen him and the kind of performances, then I think we'll be fine.
He'd be looking forward to this game.
Yeah.
He'd be looking forward to it because not so much at Anfield because they defended a little bit deeper, I thought, in that game, but I think that they will come out, and the Emirates may be a little bit bigger. I don't know, but I do think that that's the one time that he's not really played that well. But I do think he was in a bit of a bad bit of form. But I think that I didn't think he was bad but a lot of people again criticising his performance on Tuesday. I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he was dangerous. And the other thing with Martinelli, and people I don't think appreciate with Martinelli, is that I'm watching Saka and people are going, oh look, Ben White's helping him out with the overlaps and things like that. He don't really get that too much with on that side. He has
Never
to do
an overlap.
He has to do it a lot of it on his own.
It's true.
So, but I think that if it depends who they play there, but I think they'll go with that Conor Bradley because I think that when he's up against Trent, he's done well against him. You know what I mean?
And he has been amazing. This kid that's come in, but I don't think we should forget he's still only played 2 or 3 games. He's massively inexperienced, and we like to hype these new players up when they come in and they do tremendously well. But there's a chance he could have a stinker.
By the way, I've got some good right backs coming through. Like, all of a sudden, there's loads of right backs, isn't there? Coming through. Isn't there? England, Gareth Southgate, well, he won't be manager after this time, but I've got some choices.
I think he's Irish, though, this kid.
Is he?
I think so.
Bradley.
Conor Bradley?
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty certain he's Irish. I'm 90% sure he's Irish.
Oh, right. So he
won't be playing
so he's
for
not English?
No.
Well,
I'm 90%
as he played for Ireland, they'll be poaching him, I'll tell you that. I mean, so... But
I thought he was... So he's not a local lad then? So that's a good bit.
But when I heard him speak, he didn't sound Irish.
I'm
90% sure.
Well, Connor's an Irish name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
is that what you're going with?
You going with it? I don't know.
No, I've read somewhere that he's Irish. I might be wrong, so I'm not going to say 100%.
Due to you getting a lot of things wrong recently, let me just check.
I don't know what I've got wrong.
No, maybe he is under 19 international, Irish international or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
He's certainly not played for Ireland yet, though, is he? I don't know.
I'd never heard of him before last week.
No, he's come on, made his debut against Arsenal in the FA Cup, didn't he? He come on, was he one of the youngsters that come on? Was he one of the youngsters that come on that day? I think he did against Arsenal.
He did,
that was his debut. Done well when he come on then.
Right. So, you think he's Irish?
I'm 90% sure, but the way you're looking, I've gone down to 75%.
What do you reckon?
It could well be. I've not heard of him.
Give Julian a round of applause. He's Irish.
He is Irish. So he's
Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah. Northern Ireland. So we'd be straight into the Irish squad.
Yeah, he's played for Northern Ireland at. He's played for the full Northern Ireland squad as well. Yeah, Northern Irish.
Was you said Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland?
I'd have taken the 50-50.
Yeah, Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. So
good player.
Good player. Yeah. So he's not. That's a disappointment.
Not one for Southgate.
Not one for England.
Yeah, but very good player, and it's going to be a very tough game and a very good game. Quickly, can you both give me who you would like to see your starting 11s?
Oh,
I guess we all know back four and goalkeeper. We all know it's going to be your midfield.
I'm bringing in Jorginho for this game.
So what's your midfield?
So my midfield three would be Jorginho, Rice, and Odegaard.
Yeah, I'd have exactly that. On the left, I'd have Martinelli.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Same front three.
Yeah, it's the same front three, and it's Trossard. I'm so torn because Trossard was so fantastic for whatever 20 minutes when he came on. But I have to go with Martinelli.
When Martinelli came on, he was terrorising their back forward. But I'd start Martinelli.
I'd start Martinelli.
I like the teams that. Yeah, I like Jorginho being in there as well.
Do you know what, Jorginho? I mentioned that yesterday, and other teams mock it and like laugh about him and all that. But when you actually watch him play, he's done a decent job for us, particularly against Man City.
The only game I can remember him was that Tottenham game.
It was one moment.
And it was one mistake he made. He's been good. I think, a bit more sort of stability in that midfield and then give Declan Rice a little chance to roam forward a bit more. I'd go with that as well. I'd like to see that, but...
Who do you think? I've got a little feeling that Havertz is going to play.
I think it's going to be Havertz.
Yeah, I do. I just think that he'd swap it over with Havertz and Smith Rowe.
I think it'll be Havertz. Plus as well, Smith Rowe, remember, still kind of coming back. Quick succession these games. I think Havertz will start that game, but I wouldn't be against Jorginho starting it. Prediction?
It's going to be so tight. I mean, I've got to say Arsenal will win it by 1 goal. 3-2.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think that they will score. I'd love us to keep a clean sheet against them, but I can't see it, so 2-0.
I'm going 2-1. I'm going 2-1, but it's obviously, it could either...
It's such a good side. It is so tight.
It's such a good side.
The good thing is, 3 or 4 years ago, guys, we were just saying, how much can we keep it down?
No, we always did well at home. So, we never really got battered.
Well, I think they're never going to beat them.
Yeah, the key for it is, as great as they're playing, we're at home.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a massive game.
I think the atmosphere is going to be
we win this game
as well.
We win this game, it could be a game changer for our season. So it's so important.
Well, it is because it gets the momentum going on to the West Ham game, doesn't it? Like, you know what I mean? And then because that's going to be
that's a tough game as well.
Real tough game.
Another team that we haven't won for a couple of times. We've been there. So
they struggled against Bournemouth yesterday, but like they're still they're bringing their A game to us because of the Declan Rice.
You know what the thing is about them, right? Is that like when they're playing against a team like Bournemouth, who are fairly attacking, but they're sitting quite deep. All their fans want them to go. That's where they fall out with Moyes, because they're like, we're playing Bournemouth now. We're at home. We've got great players. Go and take them apart. And they don't, because Moyes got a particular way of playing. But when they play us now, all their fans accept that. They're like, Arsenal have come to town. They accept that we're going to sit pretty deep and stuff like that. Might be pretty interesting. A lot could turn on how their result turns out as well on the weekend, because they've got Man United, I think, away. Suffer a defeat there, all of a sudden, some questions are starting to be asked again about Moyes and all that. Puts them in a different mode for our game. I can't see how they
can criticise what Moyes has done with when you look at their league position.
Yeah, but I think what it is with, then you also look at all the players they've got, and you look at it's not so much the style. And you think to yourself, should we always be playing like that? You complained about it earlier. Should we always be playing in this type of style when we've got V's type, we've got Bowen, we've got Kudus, we've got, now they've got Calvin Phillips. They've got a very good side. So you're looking at it and thinking, should we, when are we going to start, going and having a go at Bournemouth? And I think that's where the frustration's coming in with their fans. But we'll deal with that game.
Massive 2 games coming up.
Yeah, deal with that game when it comes. But listen, the game is at the weekend, of course. Arsenal versus Liverpool. Don't forget, we are going to be at the game. So you get to find out from these guys what they thought afterwards. We're also going to be in the studio doing all of the watch-alongs, etc. So make sure you check that out. Also, so everybody over there in Ghana, don't forget, coming over to Ghana next week to do a big feature on all Ghanaian Arsenal fans. Are going to be over there and doing a watch party with Ghanaian fans for that West Ham game. These guys, of course, will be at the game as well, won't you?
Yes,
be at the West Ham game.
I was going to say, we're going to be in Ghana.
Yeah, I know, they keep moaning to me about how comes they ain't going to Ghana, but someone's got to go to the game, innit?
Yeah, that's right.
Game,
we chose the game, didn't we?
Because we had the choice.
We had the choice.
Yeah.
Whinging. Right, but listen, thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV, and we'll be back next week with another Invincible podcast. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.